Sydney's controversial Vivid Festival is putting on a fiery finale. Crowds packed the rocks to see a reenactment of the fire that devastated the 3B's convict ship nearly 200 years ago. The ship will catch fire and sink 3 times a night, tonight and tomorrow, before the festival wraps up.
Thousands lined the shores of our harbour last night as a spectacular light show brought the story of a blaze on board a convict ship to life. The wooden replica rose up from the water near the rocks before bursting into flames. It's part of the Vivid Sydney Festival, which wraps up this weekend.
And an explosive end to a controversial Sydney festival. That's next. A ship is about to blow up in Sydney Harbour, all in the name of art. Edwina Bartholomew's down at the rocks. Edwina, what on earth or water is happening there?
Well, Chris, tonight is the finale to Vivid Sydney, an event which promises to go out with a bang. This show is called Fire and Water. It recreates an explosion that destroyed a convict ship in 1814. That ship is submerged behind me. In moments will rise up and be set alight. It's on all weekend, 3 times a night.
Another event that we've had that's been very successful, again, activating our precincts. You know, we want people to come, we want people to enjoy it. It's part of the total package of a city. So, Aroma Coffee Festival. This was a sort of a boutique coffee showcase event where people came and sold coffee machines. You could try different types of coffee, but it's grown in the last few years. So by 2006, it was already getting a bit of a following. We run it in July, again in that cold off-season. Well, not as cold as here, but, you know, coldish. And this attracted about 100,000 people in one weekend. So you can see the crowds there. And this is all about food culture in Sydney and shows how diversified, same as in New Zealand, that culture has become in the last 2 decades. And we re-engineered this festival this year. So not just coffee, all styles, but we did teas, spices, herbs and chocolates, creating a feast for the sense on which the vast diversity of Sydney's cuisine could participate. The way we did it this year, and I haven't got any photos of that, but we divided the whole of the rocks. So we had placements all around the rocks, so you had to get from one to the other. We had coffees of Arabia right at the far end, but they were with the camel rides. So if you went that far, you got Arabian coffee and camel rides. We had a belly dancing Turkish tent. We had the Latin American coffee tent with salsa dancing. We had Mediterranean coffee, and we had beautiful Asian areas with chai and tea and so on. So it was really something. And as I said, to do the whole thing, you had to walk around. So we're trying to get you around the precinct. So this branding image, which we produced, we've got a fabulous design team that work in my division, and they produced this. I think we won some award for it. And it telegraphs a message about the event itself. And also reflects the culture of modern Sydney. So the reinvented Aroma brand broadened the appeal and reach of this annual event and sold the relaxed environment and lifestyle that we like to sell that's offered in the rocks all year round. So we've had some research, we did some research after Aroma to see how the rocks is perceived as becoming more popular. And most importantly, leading all Sydney destinations as having positive word-of-mouth promotions. This is the kind of result that we're seeking from these events, and the long-term impacts for our businesses from increased regular visitation are obvious. In 2009, though, apart from having these different cultural areas of coffee or tea, we were searching for something that could give Aroma that international presence. You know, that's something that goes out into the marketing world and captures people's imagination. So again, we came up with an authority we came up with a concept that came from the authority itself. It is a concept whose success took us, I think, a little by surprise. It shows you that the world's interested in quirky things. But when I look back in hindsight, the clarity of the concept and its universal appeal meant that it was bound to get the international coverage that it did. And yes, here it is, a Mona Lisa made out of 3,604 cups of coffee. So it was assembled by visitors to the festival, because obviously we told them where the colours went, and this image received more international coverage than any event we have ever staged except New Year's Eve, I said. From the San Francisco Chronicle to the Straits Times to the Nepal Ipatra, this image achieved more cut-through for the rocks and for Sydney than we'd had in many years. And it shows Sydney as we like to think of it: creative, multicultural and a bit of fun. And again, this is underpinned by conveying messages that ring true with local Sydney-siders, and this is as equally attractive for them to visit as for someone coming from someone else. So the bottom line was a 23% increase in patronage to an already successful event. This event generated close to $6 million of additional revenue for our rocks businesses on the event day alone. So this equates to an $18 return to our tenants for every dollar we invested. And I'll make that clear. We invest the money by putting on the event. They get the money back. But for us, that's part of the total package. So over 92% of our local visitor surveys, and we survey people all the time, I know it's very tiresome if you're visiting, indicated their intention to return to the rocks again. Of course, the rocks is only one of our precincts. We work with our diverse range of businesses and tenants to ensure that our events business drives traffic into our precinct areas. So the events that I've discussed today are just a sample of the 12 major events and close to 500 smaller community events that we deliver annually. Numerous festivals held this year celebrate the 21st birthday of Darling Harbour, and I've brought a book for David, which is our sort of beautiful historic book talking about 21 years of Darling Harbour and what Darling Harbour was before it became this events precinct. So let me end by recalling the overall role and structure of the authority that I've described earlier. We're not just a developer, nor just a land manager, even though we are all those things, nor an event manager, but a combination. Our diverse business activities are coordinated to ensure that projects of a short life cycle, such as special events, in turn support projects of a long life cycle, such as urban place management. So the two go hand in hand. The cycle naturally factors in the operators of the 519 businesses that operate within our precincts. Their interests are served through patronage these events attract, as well as targeting joint marketing opportunities, event bundling opportunities, and participation in events such as our annual Markets by Moonlight Festival. Markets by Moonlight, in fact, is going to start, just in case you're in Sydney, in the next little while. It's going to start in November. We used to run it. Again, November's a bit of a dry old season, you know, the pre-Christmas, nothing much is happening kind of season. So we've been running these Friday night Markets by Moonlight. They've been mainly driven by a rock festival type of crowd, and we get some big bands in. But this year we're actually running them through till March, and they're more of a market, same as the Rocks Market on Saturdays and Sundays, as well as live music and bands and al fresco dining. So I just want to finish off by saying that we don't just sort of come up with these ideas ourselves. We do heavily consult with our businesses in our precinct during the event development and redevelopment, because obviously for them to benefit, they need to have a buy-in into the event. They need to understand what they're going to get out of it, and we need their buy-in so that they come to the party, as it were. You know, if we're going to create an event around al fresco dining, you're going to want everybody to have their tables and chairs set up and have the right security and DA applications and whatever else they need to be ready on the day.